So I made this video to show everyone how I start a mix. And I wanted to do this because it's really important to set up your mix in a way that makes sense, is well organized, because that's just going to make the whole process quicker, easier, more fun. It's just a good idea to be organized in general. So I wanted to go through just the very first steps from a blank template to importing audio. And if you don't have the template, the link is in the description. You just have to sign up for my newsletter and you will get that sent to your email. It'll also come with a quick description of how the template is set up so everything makes sense. Cool. So let's get started. Step one is we need to import the audio. So this is just the template, nothing extra. We need to get our audio in. Okay, so let's press Shift-Command-I for import audio. And this is the folder containing all the audio that the producer sent me. And we are going to add all. I'm using add, but if you're mixing, I strongly recommend using copy. If it's a different sample rate, this will say convert, but this is going to copy everything to your audio files folder of your project. And that'll just eliminate headaches later and prevent missing audio. So I strongly recommend copying everything over to your audio files folder. Anyway, hit done, new track. Now I kind of messed up. It's going to import all the tracks directly after the track you have selected. So it's going to put them here, but no big deal. All right, so here are all my audio tracks. I'm just going to drag them down to the bottom where I want them. And now we can start to go through and see what they are. All right, this first one. So E is your friend here. E toggles the zoom on your currently selected track. Okay, and then you can hit tab to the audio. Shift S is solo to solo the track. Okay, so this is a guitar. I'm going to name it appropriately and color code it according to my color coding scheme, which you don't have to use mine. And then E to go back. Now, if you're a Pro Tools wizard, you can use semicolon key to go down to the next track, Shift S to solo, E to bring it into view, and then we can use tab or option tab to go to the next or previous transient. Then play it back. Okay, this is obviously an 808 bell. It's already named. Double click. I'm just going to remove the first part of the name and color code it. E to go back to the previous view. And same thing. We're going to go down through each one of these tracks, and I won't make you sit through all of it, but I'm going to do this really quickly and see you at the end. Okay, now that everything is color-coded beautifully, we can group everything together and route the audio appropriately. Right now, everything's just going to the main out of my interface, which is not what I want. I want everything going to my beautifully organized stem busing that I have set up in my template. Okay, so let's do that real quick. If you hold down the Command key, you can select the tracks that you want to be together. So I'm going to select all my red tracks, which are my drums. I'm going to drag them so that they're all together. And if I press Shift Option and then click the output assignment, I can change all selected tracks to the same assignment, all drums. My guitar, synths, keys are all my music elements. So I'm going to put those together and they're all going to go to all music. My bass is separate, so that's going to go to all bass. My verse and hook will both go to Vox 1, which is kind of like my lead track, but you can use it however you want. It's just to group them separately. So now everything is routed properly, grouped properly. It looks beautiful. What you might want to do from here is set up groups. So if you would like to do that, select all the tracks you want in the same group. You can press Command G, name your group. I'll name it drums. And this ID, I like to use the first letter of the name of the group. If I decide to use focus keys in my groups by clicking this Arizona button here, it's just like a mnemonic thing. I know D is my drums. So this allows you to make edits to the whole group. For example, if I wanted to trim this, if I want to disable the groups, Shift Command G toggles the groups on and off. So if I toggle it off, I can make quick edits to each track like this. So I just like to trim the silence out. It's kind of a habit that I developed when I was working on a laptop because it was not a solid state drive. And having it read a bunch of tracks all at the same time put a lot of stress on the drive. Anyway, cool. So all that was pretty monotonous. Didn't really require much brain power. Now we have to start using our brains. Editing is always the first step of mixing because it's dealing with the audio source. It's the input. It's what's feeding all of your inserts, right? So if there's any issues that we can take care of at the source with some editing, it's best to do it there. And you're going to spend most of your time editing your vocals. You'll edit your drums and things like that, but usually there's not too much you have to do there. You're going to be working with the vocals. So let's bring those up. Okay, so what we're looking for are extraneous audio, pre-roll, things like this. Even if you don't think you'll hear it in the mix, in the digital world, it's not an absolute zero. It's not silence. So we don't need it in there. It's taking up headroom, even if it's just a little bit of headroom. If we had a lot of tracks, it could add up. So we're going to get rid of all this extraneous audio. We're also going to listen through this and listen for any big volume swings. Sometimes an artist might turn away from the mic or lean into the mic. And we're listening for just kind of general changes in volume. And I'll show you how to use clip gain to control that. And then, of course, we're listening for anything that we just don't want in there, like maybe any loud breaths, mouth sounds, clicks, anything that we don't want that we can edit out. We're going to listen for that too. So let's give this vocal track a listen.
Back then it was the Altima. Now we're cruising through the city in Acura. Back then I was living like a bachelor. Now you got me out here feeling like switching up. Grown man shit suiting up. Love so dope, I'm shooting up. I'm new to us, only used to lust. Never used to trust, no. And ain't no other place I'd rather be than with you right here making memories. Only girl here as far as my eye can see. I can barely breathe, I get the weakest knees every time I see you.
Cool. So I don't know if you heard it, but right here, it sounds like something happened. Maybe he leaned away from the mic or something. The volume gets a lot lower here. So let's take a listen to this phrase again.
Only girl here as far as my eye can see. I can barely breathe, I get the weakest knees every time I see you.
So the way I like to deal with this is using clip gain. It's a great feature in Pro Tools. This line looks like an automation line is actually the clip gain line. And if you don't see that, you can go to View, Clip gain line. And what this allows you to do, so I selected that portion of the audio that was a little bit quiet. I'm going to press B, my focus key, to split the region. And I'm just going to use this to bring the clip gain up, maybe about 4 dB. Okay, let's see how that sounds.
Only girl here as far as my eye can see. I can barely breathe, I get the weakest knees every time I see you.
So I don't need,
I can barely breathe.
that barely is a little bit loud, so I'm going to make my edit right after that.
Only girl here as far as my eye can see. I can barely breathe, I get the weakest knees every time I see you.
Yeah, that sounds good. More even throughout. So let's crossfade those a little bit. Quicker way to do that would be to just select the region, Command F, default fade of 10 milliseconds. Boom. Just enough to eliminate any clicks. Cool, so now that the volume is good, we can get a little more detailed. Like I said, we don't need any of this stuff in the beginning. The way I like to deal with this is A to trim from the start, Tab, and then D. And my default fade, which you can set up in your preferences here, editing, default fade settings. So here you can create your default fades, very handy. My default fade is here. Let's take a look at mine. So equal gain with a really steep ramp. I find that works really well for just editing the beginning of phrases. Works really well for me. You don't have to do what I do though. So we can get really close to that.
You know, back then it was the Ultima.
Cool. So you don't hear anything until right when he's about to speak. And you can also use a gate for this, but like I said, if you can deal with it at the source with some simple editing, I think that's the best way to go about it. You only have to do it once. Just make sure you do a really good job the first time so you don't have to go back and do it again. Make sure none of this is really audible.
Then with you right here making memories.
I kind of lost the S there.
Then with you right here making memories.
That's a little better. And if I wanted to bring that S out a little more, I could also do that. So I would split this region, same thing. Just bring this clip gain up a little bit. Crossfade the two regions.
Making memories.
But I don't want to do that because sibilance is not great all the time. Okay, and let's trim the end.
See you.
All right, so now this is all trimmed up. Silence is pulled out. There is a strip silence feature, but I prefer to do it manually. It's the only way I can guarantee that it's doing what I want it to do. Then you can do the same thing for all the hook vocals, but I think I demonstrated what we needed to do here. If you wanted to take out any breaths, that's really simple too. Same process as before. Let's just see if I can find a breath.
You know, back then it was the Ultima. Now we're cruising through the city in Acura. Back then.
So here's a breath. B to split it. Bring the clip gain up. Well, down. I'm bringing it up so I can show you what I'm doing. But if it was a problematic breath, you would bring it down. I go as far as like 12 dB, depending on how severe it is.
Acura. Back then.
So then you can hear it. So that's how I edit out breaths, but it's not really a problem in this track in particular. Cool. So now we have a wonderfully set up session. Everything's organized. Everything's routed to the appropriate stems. And we're ready to start doing some serious mixing. If you've edited everything, you can be confident that there's no extra noise taking up headroom that you don't want there. It's really important to listen through all of your tracks. Get that out of the way first, because a lot of this stuff is very monotonous. Like editing is monotonous. You can, this is stuff you could just do in your headphones. Doesn't require a treated room. And it just sets you up for mixing the track a little bit better. So you can spend more time doing actual mixing. So I hope that helps somebody just seeing my process. If there's anything you'd like to see me do more of, maybe in terms of editing or anything at all, let me know. Send me an email, leave a comment. I respond to everybody. I love talking about audio, obviously. Could talk about it all day. Thanks again for watching. Hope that helps. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.